Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and I know a lot of families are really struggling this year. Things are really hard, prices are super high. It's the end of the month, and the grocery budget is about to run out. Honestly, it's just hard. I get it. But I want to show you something. I want to show you that you can still have a real Thanksgiving that's warm, full of love, full of memories, and it doesn't have to break the bank. We can do it for under $20. These are real recipes from the Great Depression, a time when families had nothing, and they still found a way to sit down together, make it beautiful with what they had, and celebrate the holiday. All right, guys, stick with me. I'm a mom of many who's been feeding my family of 7 for $100 a month per person all year long. I'm going to show you how to have the best Thanksgiving yet. Did you know that during the Great Depression, turkey actually was not what was common? They ate rabbit or quail or duck or chicken. Chicken was a big one. Now, I know that right now, a turkey this time of year, we can get it for really cheap. And I've got ideas of ways that you can take a turkey for cheap and do other things with it. It's 84 to 97 cents a pound, but it's so big, you're going to pay 20 to 30 bucks. It's going to eat up your budget. I can get a whole chicken for a little over $1.30 to $1.40 a pound, depending on which one I get. And we're going to make it the highlight of our recipe or of our Thanksgiving dinner. So I pulled out my Depression cookbook and I went to the poultry section and I found some delicious ideas, and this Imperial chicken looked fantastic. So to start with, I want you to find the fat that you already have, the butter, the olive oil, the vegetable oil, that, the Crisco, whatever it is. And we're going to use that today. Don't feel like you have to go and get something extra or special. So we have our whole chicken, parsley, that is some Parmesan cheese, and I just use the shaky can stuff, salt, pepper, and some garlic, and then our oil and breadcrumbs. If you want to save even more, make your own breadcrumbs out of stale bread. I had breadcrumbs in my pantry, so that's what I used. Either way, no big deal. All right, so here is my chicken, and I got it for under $9, and it is a nice size chicken. And we are going to roast it, but instead of just a plain Jane roasted chicken, we're going to fancy it up and follow that Imperial Chicken recipe. All right, so you're gonna cook this chicken at 350 degrees for an hour or so. You wanna cook it until it's at least 165 degrees. I did kind of pat that so that everything would stick to the top, but pop it in the oven and let it cook. And then when we're done with that, we're gonna move on to making our own homemade stuffing. Now I know you could get a box of stuffing for a couple of dollars, right? And it's okay, but you could have really delicious, incredible stuffing for really, really inexpensive. Now, the ideal thing to do here is to use stale bread, and it could be a loaf of sandwich bread. You don't have to use this kind of bread, but I did grab this for $1.47 from the bakery at H-E-B. And as you can see, it's not stale. So I'm cutting it up and I'm gonna pop it in the oven for just a little bit to kind of dry it out. Or you can cut it up and leave it sitting out on your countertop overnight. You could cover it with a dish towel, and that way it dries out. We need for this to be dried up and a little more hard and crispy to turn it into our stuffing. I just cooked it at the 350 degrees that it was already set for with the chicken in there. And I just cooked it for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 20 minutes until it was nice and hard. Okay, so now we're going to make our homemade, we're going to make our water pie, and I'm making my homemade dough. I did a whole video recently. I will link to it here in a card so that you have it. It is my recipe for homemade pie dough. It is so much cheaper to do this at home. All it requires is butter, water, flour, and I mean, this is so simple. There's no chill time. There's no wait time. There's no rise time. It is truly simple. And I'm just going to do like the quick little run through version of how we made this. But you can get the whole recipe and video. I'll give you the recipe here, but I'll give you the whole how-to tutorial. If you're a visual person who wants to see that tutorial, I'll leave that link here so that you have it and you can watch that video. So we're going to take our pie crust and we are going to put it into our pie plate, and that's what we're going to use for our water pie. And I know you might be thinking, pie dough is only $2, $3, $4, depending on how much of a sale they're running currently for it. But every little bit adds up, and this is how we're going to keep this dinner under $20. And honestly, you likely already have on hand flour and water, obviously, and butter. So why not just make this yourself at home? It is so easy to do. Super, super easy, right? So easy to do. Once you do it, you'll never do it any other way. All right, so now we're actually gonna make the pie. And here's what I'll tell you. Simple ingredients, the water pie. Calls for water, things you already have. Vanilla, flour, sugar, super simple ingredients, and then some butter, all right? And then your pie crust that we made. I will tell you, I made this towards the end of cooking everything else, and that was a mistake. I probably should have made this very first so that then it had plenty of time to sit. That would be my recommendation to you, because your oven's gonna get very tied up with the chicken and the stuffing. So make this and then start the rest of it. That's what I would do. All right, so we're literally gonna take our uncooked pie crust. It's in the pan. We are now going to pour in the water, and I'll give you the measurements as well. And then we have our flour and our sugar that we're going to combine together. And we're gonna make sure that this is stirred up really well and well combined. And then we're literally just going to drop it into the pie plate with the water. You don't even stir. And then we're gonna add the vanilla and add the butter and pop it in the oven. Let me show you. Let me just say, I picked the wrong knife to cut this butter with. So I thought this knife had just recently been sharpened, but apparently somebody cut wood with it before or something. I don't know. Do you see how much it's tearing up that butter? But also the butter had been sitting at room temperature for a little bit, so it was a little softer and a little more difficult to cut through, but here you go. And we're just gonna place that in the water, in the pie crust, and then pop it in the oven. All right, now that our bread is nice and crusty, It's been cooling for a few minutes on this sheet pan. We're gonna put it all into a bowl, and now we're going to make our homemade stuffing. And this is really, really delicious. And it's going to start with these ingredients. So we have our bread, salt, pepper. Let me slow down. Salt, pepper, bread, parsley, butter, eggs, onion, and then this is some frozen chicken broth that I had in the freezer. I'm using what I have. If I didn't have this and I didn't want to spend money and I wanted to save money, I would use water. But we also have some fresh celery there, and I love the smell of celery and onion cooking together. That smells like Thanksgiving to me. Anytime you're cooking with celery and onion in a pan, it smells like Thanksgiving in my opinion. So we're gonna chop this up, get the veggies chopped up, cook them in some butter. If you don't have butter, that's okay. Use whatever fat you have, leftover bacon grease, the Crisco, the vegetable oil, olive oil, whatever you have. Do not feel like you need to go out and buy something just to make this. This is how we are getting by on just $20 for our Thanksgiving dinner. Once everything in the oven is close to being done, we're going to make our stovetop side, and it is using onion and cabbage. Cabbage is something that during the Depression they would grow in victory gardens, community gardens. It was easily accessible. Cabbage debuted in recipe after recipe that I've seen as I've done research, looking from Miss Clara to other people that I've watched to see what kinds of foods were made then, including the cookbook that I have that goes over everything. Um, and cabbage is really filling as well. So, and right now you can get it very inexpensive. There are seasons where it is more inexpensive than others, but cabbage is something that you can eat all the time. So we're going to chop this up, and it's going to look like a lot, and it will make a lot, but it's going to the skillet is almost overflowing at the beginning, and everything wilts down and all the flavors come together. I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, I'm using butter, but use whatever oil you have. And actually, this is where bacon grease does miracles. So, but no matter what kind of oil you have, use that. One of the big secrets to cooking cabbage and making it as flavorful as possible is salting it well, and then also pepper. But you really want to make sure that you salt it well. And then again, if you cook it with that bacon grease, it will have even more flavor. But the butter actually makes a great flavor profile as well. So you can turn the oven off and cover that in foil and just let it continue to stay in the heat a little bit while you finish up everything else. So I want you to remember, this Thanksgiving, it doesn't have to be perfectly decorated. Things do not have to be, extreme or, Kardashian style or whatever you want to say. We're going to make this as family focused and as inviting and warm as we possibly can. So I'm pulling out some nice tablecloths. These are actually more Christmassy just because my more Thanksgiving colored ones were not readily available, but that is okay. Do with what you have. We are going to create a family cozy ambiance. That's my only goal here, is to do that, okay? So we're putting all this together. I do want to say, I am so grateful. Matthew, my 16-year-old, helped me record all of this. And I really asked him to help me make this as cozy as possible. And I didn't want a lot of lulls in my videos. I didn't want so much of just a camera overhead recording me cooking like I typically do. I wanted more close-ups and more things that really made this feel like you were having dinner with us. I want you to be inspired. I want you to know that Thanksgiving doesn't have to be green bean casserole and a deep fried turkey, and Thanksgiving doesn't have to be pumpkin pie and pecan pie. It can be what you have. Just cook with what you have, and with the, if you have limited funds, let's figure out a way to elevate that to the biggest level. You don't have to pull out the fancy dishes. Just use what you have. All right, you guys, I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that this gives you some ideas and that you're able to use some of them this Thanksgiving. I will tell you, we recorded this almost a month ago, and it has taken me so long to get this edited. As you can see here, it was right before Halloween, and one of my kids was getting ready for work, and they dress up for Halloween at work. So yeah, that's how long ago this was. All right, guys, if you are new here, I hope that you will like and subscribe. I would love to see you again. We are a large blended family with 9 kids, 5 of them still at home, from 19 down to 9 years old. And we know how to cook on a budget. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you in the next video.